Welcome to the Getting Real with Hilary show, where ordinary heroes tell extraordinary stories during unique and never been heard before conversations with your host, Hilary Arno Burns. Hilary's unique listening and way of asking questions results in conversations that aren't usually talked about, so you can create the life that you really want but are afraid you can't really have. We are demonstrating the greatness in the human spirit and creating a world where we all reclaim our birthright of joy, happiness, purpose, and passion. Now, here's your host, Hilary Arno Burns. Welcome to the Getting Real with Hilary show, and today we have a very special guest with a very important message. Her name is Marisa Peters, and she is a young onset stage 3B rectal cancer survivor. She's also an author, public speaker, producer, vocalist, music artist, and boy mom to 3 sons. After years of having her symptoms dismissed, she founded Be Seen with a clear mission to eradicate death from colorectal cancer through awareness, access, and community of care, especially for those diagnosed young. Marisa has been featured in the New York Times, Today, U.S. News and World Report, and appeared on NBC, ABC, Fox, and The Kelly Clarkson Show. A former Broadway vocalist, she continues to perform and advocate at major sporting and awareness events nationwide and is cared for by a medical team at UCLA Health. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Marisa.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Hilary. I'm excited to connect.
Yeah. So let me just ask, after all the years of your symptoms being dismissed, what finally had someone say, oh, wait a second? Like, who finally listened?
Yeah, it was getting to a person with the expertise. So it was a gastroenterologist who, upon hearing my symptoms, was floored and knew how dire the situation was. I certainly didn't, but because of her expertise and specialization, she did. And candidly, like, the face of colorectal cancer has changed, Hilary. It looks different, it sounds different than how medical professionals, even as of late, have been taught in medical school. It has typically been a person and above 60 years old that experiences these kinds of diseases. And unfortunately, this particular disease has accelerated and is impacting people that are now in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. It's catching all of us by surprise, quite frankly. It might sound wild, but I don't fault our medical professionals because this is just a different sort of evolution. And it is challenging to stay up on all of the latest and greatest in the healthcare space. It's why oncologists are rooted so heavily in research and why their work is so important. Sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it?
No, because I remember, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, there was a guy I knew from work, and his wife was young and died. You know, they just didn't ever think she might have colon cancer,
Yeah,
because
that's right.
it wasn't in their paradigm. So they didn't see it, and she ended up dying. And I think, then you had like the Katie Courics and stuff going out there.
Yep.
But I think it was still older people, right? I mean,
It was. And we still don't know why. We don't know why this is happening for people younger and younger. We do not know. There are a lot of different research studies taking place right now to try to get to root cause. But in the meanwhile, you look at Katie Couric, and there was a 20% lift in people who were going and taking the preventative care seriously. And not just seriously, they were taking action. They saw a 20% lift in people getting colonoscopies after Katie Couric did her on-air colonoscopy after the passing of her husband, Jay Monahan, at age 42 from this very disease. So we want people to know when I was going through treatment, we learned that this disease is preventable. I didn't know anything about colorectal cancer before my diagnosis at age 39. And honestly, it was the furthest thing from my guess for the experiences that I was having. Um, and once we learned it was preventable, my husband and I, we became quite passionate about empowering people with the information to be seen sooner, because early detection, it saves lives and it works. So, as a parent, the time that we get to spend, the time that we have living our lives to its fullest capacity, when a disease like colorectal cancer is preventable, we just want people to know and ideally to take action in their lives so that they don't have to experience what we did.
So I know colonoscopies can prevent it. I know that they've
That's right.
gone in and taken polyps out, which could have become cancerous, but I
Right.
was probably 50 when I started.
That's
How
right.
can people prevent it? I mean, at a young age, do you recommend that younger people go get colonoscopies or only if they have some symptoms? Like, what are you recommending
Yeah.
that people do?
It's a great question. And ultimately, Hilary, you being your own biggest advocate is really what is most important. So, yes, we're talking very specifically about colorectal cancer here. But if you know that patterns of your bodily habits, your functions, or you just feel something is off, it's really important that you give voice to those concerns and that you make sure that you are being taken seriously, that if the suggestions that your primary care physician or other medical experts in your life are giving you and you're not seeing the type of change, or in my case, in fact, symptoms were worsening, that's not normal. And getting test back data, back to results about what is actually going on in your body is really what we want people to do. We want them to speak up. We want them to be relentless about themselves. And as it relates to colorectal cancer, we want people to be seen in a very specific and direct way. The
And
gold
can you?
standard is to get a colonoscopy. There are some
Right.
other options that we have now in stool-based tests and blood-based tests, and that standard of care has recently expanded to include a couple other more non-invasive tests. But the important thing with both those stool-based and blood-based tests is they are to screen people into a colonoscopy, which a
Mm.
colonoscopy is what's recommended for everyone age 45 and up. If you are healthy, you do not have any family history, you do not have any symptoms, meaning changes in your stool, blood when you have a bowel movement, increased urgency to go to the bathroom. In some cases, people present with abdominal pain, and also exhaustion. I was severely anemic. So while my energy levels might be higher than most, that anemia is also an indicator that something is significantly wrong. And one of the first steps when people are anemic is to actually do a colonoscopy and an endoscopy to find out if there's bleeding um, inside that can't be detected in other ways.
Okay. So the are you saying that unless you have one of these symptoms, so tell me if I get them, changes in stool, you could have more urgency, blood in the stool, abdominal pain, you had anemia, exhaustion,
Yeah.
any other symptoms that people could look for?
So those are the big ones. Another
Okay.
that people could look for. You did great. You got it, Hilary. Like A plus.
Yay.
I know. So the other things that people can look for is really starting with their family history.
Mm.
I did not realize that polyps ran in my family history. And even after I'd gone through having rectal cancer, my family didn't realize that those same polyps, when confirmed precancerous, are also what is the early seeds of colorectal cancer. So if we
Wait,
go
wait,
in
wait,
and get a
wait, stop.
colonoscopy,
That's,
yeah, yeah,
you know what? That's important. I mean, I
it's
had
really
polyps,
important.
but it's
Yeah,
not like I ever told anyone, you know what I mean, in my
correct.
family or said, "Hey, did you have polyps?" It was just like, "Yeah, I had
Correct.
polyps." They took them out. That's something that
Yes.
people don't talk about.
Of course. And people actually don't talk about their colon or their rectum, especially when it, you know, is something that's been silenced typically in families around the dinner table. Obviously, we tell people potty talk stays in the bathroom,
Right.
right?
I mean, I was
And
talking just I was saying something about the toilet. It wasn't me. I was telling a story and someone
yeah,
shut me down. We're
yeah, no, no, no.
dinner. Like, what, stop.
Yeah,
And it was like, that
no.
certainly made me never want to bring it up again. You know what I
And
mean?
that's what we need to push through,
Yeah.
right? These are
Yeah.
societal norms that have been typically silenced. And yes, I'm not telling everybody, oh, yeah, like at every dinner party, make sure you talk about your bowel movements. That's not the point here. The point is, this can be hereditary. And in my case, with genetic testing, it was concluded that it was from environmental reasons that I had rectal cancer, right? But I got to tell you, there's so much innovation that's happening, not only in the medical space, but in the way that we understand different genes, what they're linked
Me-
to, what
I-
predispositions us.
Can I
Yeah.
ask you before,
Yeah.
what does that mean that it was environmental?
It means that it according to the genes that we know today,
Yeah.
are associated with cancer, with colorectal cancer in my case, that it is not something that was passed down. However,
Right.
we are learning so much about our own genetic disposition. And in my case, the predispositioning, right? Just because you have a genetic marker that says you might have a higher risk of developing something, it doesn't mean 100% that's what you're going to get. But it does mean that you should step up your screening differently. It
Right.
does
But if
mean that you
you,
might eat differently.
yeah, but
So
so,
we should talk about these polyps because that's a really
okay.
important thing, right?
But
Uh,
all right,
Go
hold on.
ahead.
I'm writing
Yeah,
down polyps, so we go back to that.
we can go back to it.
But if
Yep.
you're saying it was environmental, does that mean it
Yes.
came from the environment?
Yes.
Do
Rather than
you,
from my family history.
right, but what do you know what about the environment caused it?
We don't know.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
tough thing about
I
this
was hoping you'd
disease.
have the right answer here.
I know. I
Oh
know. We
God.
don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
We
So we
don't
don't
know.
know. We
And I'll
don't.
tell you, the research studies underway are as wide as the colors of the rainbow right now.
Okay.
Everything. There's a research study out of Dana-Farber currently looking at vitamin D deficiency and the linkage to young onset colorectal cancer, right? There's
Okay.
different
Fiber.
bacteria.
To
Yeah.
fiber or
Fiber intake,
yeah.
processed foods, certainly the amount of exercise and mobility, how our system is moving through and processing, antibiotics at early ages. Are there certain things that were present even in utero that
Yeah.
are changing the microbiome? They are changing the way our bodies respond to, an abnormality in our cells that turns into cancer rather than our body fighting it off and eliminating those defunct cells, right? When
Okay.
somebody has cancer, it means the cancer has been able to, those abnormal cells have been able to find a home and start
Mm,
growing and developing.
okay.
And in some cases, moving to different places than the original site where it started growing.
Okay.
So,
So they don't
we
know. The
we
answer is they
we
don't
really don't
know.
know.
Yeah, okay.
And
Okay.
but the genuine good news that I have, which this sounds like a bunch of, poppycock so far of like not a lot of good news, is that for colorectal cancer, it is a preventable disease.
Right.
And even with all the novel treatments and innovation and research that is taking place, we know today how to detect it and remove it early. And that is the colonoscopy.
Okay.
So when we talk about non-invasive stool-based tests like Cologuard Plus or Guardant Shield's blood-based test, and there are some others available on the market as well, those tests are actually to screen you into a colonoscopy.
Right.
It's not to say, oh, you're done, this is it. So if you're someone who's not going to get a colonoscopy for whatever reason, don't do nothing. get one of these non-invasive tests, and then make sure that you understand that that is the precursor to actually getting a colonoscopy. Today, there is significant breakage in people who have a positive result, either in a stool-based test or a blood-based test, that do not seek further treatment and get that colonoscopy. And we're finding that those people are developing later stage, and in some cases not treatable, colorectal cancer. And it's causing the mortality rates to be higher. It's causing people at younger and younger ages to lose their lives to, again, a preventable disease. So that's why I get, wrapped around the axle on this, why we want people to be seen and why we started this mission.
So you have the Cologuard, which that's the stool. And then what kind of blood test can they take? That seems a little easier than the Cologuard.
Yeah, look, and the blood-based tests, they're very new to market. Their efficacy rates are not yet as high as a colonoscopy. What I like about the blood-based tests is that, again, if someone is not doing anything, and for whatever reason they're saying, there's no way that I am getting a colonoscopy as my first step, I would encourage them at the doctor's office to seek out these different forms of tests. So a blood-based test, they do a blood draw just like you would have in your annual physical to do your CBC or a metabolic panel. Right. They send it off to their labs, and with organizations like Guardant, for example, Guardant Shield has a blood-based colorectal cancer screening test. That test is, if you get a positive result back, right, you want to make sure that you follow up with a colonoscopy and that you get it scheduled right away. It's not to say that you have cancer.
Right.
It's to say that your result came back and you need to have more conclusive intervention done to make sure that your results are actually applied to your body. That's what's so cool about the colonoscopy, is that it is both the detection and the prevention. They go in, they look to see what's there, they find a polyp, they remove it on the spot. And I think, Hilary, that's probably why physicians have told you coming out of a colonoscopy, like they tell many people, we found some polyps, they're out, you're okay, you're great, we'll see you in X amount of time, right? If you have a polyp discovered in your colonoscopy, you're going to be seen sooner for your follow-up colonoscopy than just the 10-year span of time that's suggested if they do not detect anything in that colonoscopy.
Right. Okay.
Then it's on you to make sure you're seen in that amount of time, right? Our doctors aren't following up with us. They're not setting a timer for us. That's for us, unfortunately, to manage.
Okay. Do you recommend once you're a certain age, you're going to get them, you're in the loop, unless you're, I don't know, not getting them, but let's assume those people are getting the colonoscopies because they're older.
So at age 45,
yeah,
you should be getting colonoscopy at a minimum of every 10 years.
Okay. So those people are theoretically in the preventative loop. It's
they're being seen.
That are younger. Would you say they should be doing the Cologuard or the stool or blood samples without the symptoms that we already covered? Or
Good
do
question.
You think, should everyone just, you can request it on your blood panel if you're getting one done. What do you,
you can.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You can, but here's the catch. Right now, insurance is both supportive and a barrier to access for tests like this. So if you do not have family history and you do not have symptoms, insurance is not going to cover you getting this additional screening at an earlier age.
I see. Now,
I do believe in my lifetime, they're going to lower the age.
Okay.
Because we're seeing such a rise.
Right. So, and it's going to cost them more if they don't.
Correct. It's nonsensical what's going on. Like flat out ridiculous. However, the things that you can do if you are younger. Number one, if you are experiencing any one of the symptoms that Hilary shared back from our conversation, even one of those symptoms is an alarm for you to seek further intervention. And I would encourage that to be through the form of a colonoscopy because the efficacy of these other tests is not yet as high as the efficacy of a colonoscopy.
So
That's the key.
a Cologuard could say you're fine and you're not, but the colonoscopy they will see the polyp and take
Correct.
it out. So
Correct. Or detect, let's say that there is something concerning growing there, right? In my case, it grew to be 5 centimeters.
now what
Could have
was
been
your
great to
symptoms?
catch it
Yeah, what
when it
were
was
you?
1 centimeter,
Wow.
right?
What were your
Versus,
symptoms again?
yeah. So my symptoms, I started to have blood when I would have a bowel movement. So as I was going poop, it was almost as if I was having a period at the same time.
And,
And in the beginning, it was intermittent. It grew to be more pervasive and consistent.
and what
But
did your
because it
doctor
was
say?
intermittent,
What did your
they're
doctor
like,
say?
they're like, you've had babies, you have hemorrhoids. That's what it is. Hemorrhoids, is a thinning of the skin where this almost little balloon starts to grow and they can bleed from time to time.
And they never thought, let's check. Never.
Never, never. And we went all the way through to maybe your gut needs more probiotics. So eat Activia every day. So I did that for a couple of months, the 6 months before my diagnosis, right? And it didn't change anything. And in fact, my symptoms were getting worse. So I had blood when I would go to the bathroom. Then I had ribbons of blood in my poop. I then had the size, texture, and shape of my poop change. It started to become thinner and shaggy. That's an indication, right? If you think about where a tumor was, the stool was having a hard time fitting around that area. So the size, shape, and consistency was changing. And then I had increased urgency to go to the bathroom. Like I was afraid I wouldn't make it to the bathroom in time to have a bowel movement. And again, it makes sense because a pomegranate-sized tumor was at the top of my rectum, and our rectum is what holds our waste until enough accumulates that it's time to go. Otherwise, we would just be going to the bathroom all the time if we didn't have that repository, right? But mine was being preoccupied with my tumor.
And no one
And
ever, I mean, you hadn't heard of colorectal, so you weren't thinking, oh, gee, I should
no,
check.
no. And the only thing I knew about a colonoscopy was what I heard about my dad in his, late 50s as I was a little girl, hearing about the gastric experience that my dad had. And so the idea of, do you want a colonoscopy, which is what that first doctor asked me, that was not on my radar, right?
Right.
And it's
So
why
you said,
we
oh,
see a decrease in people at older ages. We are not seeing them both diagnosed with colorectal cancer, and we are seeing the mortality rates from colorectal cancer much lower. Whereas people who are
why?
younger, because
Why?
the colonoscopy was introduced
Oh,
on a
okay.
standard basis
Okay.
to detect those polyps, right? But colorectal cancer is not an older person's disease anymore. And we are seeing young onset colorectal cancer rise at an alarming pace for people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, right? People like Chadwick Boseman died at age 43. Recently, James Vanderbeek died at age 48. We're also seeing Catherine O'Hara at 71. She faced rectal cancer in silence, and then after passing, that was what took her life as well. But you don't see people, you certainly don't see women out boldly talking about this particular topic. And that's why I've decided, is it fun to go out and talk about my experience and my poop and blood and all of these things? No, it's not. But because it's preventable, and we know from the Be Seen movement, we have prevented over 60 people who've received life-saving intervention that wouldn't have otherwise as a result of this. And so I will keep putting myself out there. Others have been brave to share and join our movement and share their very personal stories as well, because it's what sparks action in the lives of other people. And we see that. Numerous people have gotten colonoscopies that wouldn't have otherwise, but 60 plus have had precancerous polyps detected and removed. And that's really powerful. Really, really powerful. And those are people that We then encourage that they share with their children, even if they're, age 4 or 5, 6. These kids should know, and this should be normalized in families to talk about these things, because that polyp, like your experience, Hilary, that prompts earlier eligibility without symptoms. That family history alone changes the age for screening for your children, and certainly for my children as well.
Wow.
Wild, right? So, for
Yeah,
example,
that
if,
no one talks about, the polyps as a thing. It
yeah,
just it's like, "Oh, yeah, they took some out." Like,
and you're okay.
yeah, but it's not like I would say to my brothers and sisters, "Hey, I had polyps. You guys better get checked." Do you know what I mean?
That's exactly what should be said. You're
But we're
exactly right.
older, so we're probably having them, but if I was in
Hopefully.
my 20s,
Yeah,
that's not, like you said, that's not a conversation that people have because it,
that's right.
quote unquote, doesn't affect young people.
So
That's
let's
what.
talk let's talk about
Yeah.
a couple of scenarios on this,
Okay.
right? Like, my
Yeah.
mom is one of 9, my dad is one of 7.
Okay.
Lots of siblings that should know that they have had polyps removed. Now, do they know if they're confirmed precancerous polyps removed? That's an important question to ask your gastroenterologist. After they come out and say, "Oh, we had polyps, this and that." The number of people who have had faulty information given about their follow-up screening after those polyps are removed has been quite high in my experience. So you
Wait,
need to
say that
know.
again. Say that again. So,
They take the polyp out and they're like, "It's out," right? You're coming out
yeah,
of your colonoscopy, you're groggy.
right.
Polyps out. You're good. Okay, great. When you know that, when you are back fully
Mhm.
functioning after that time, following up on the biopsy results of those polyps is a critical next step.
Oh,
Because if you have a confirmed precancerous polyp, you should be getting a colonoscopy no longer than 5 years out. In most cases, it's 3-year follow-up, or even more frequently, depending upon the size of the polyp and how many polyps were there. Why? Because they want to catch it early. So if you have more that's removed and they're already confirmed precancerous, which, you know, my husband turned 45 the week he turned 45. He went in for his colonoscopy. Obviously, because of our experience, he had 6 polyps detected and removed, 3 confirmed precancerous with no family history of this disease and beyond. Like, we don't know if his parents have experienced polyps or not. But so now for our kids, they have it coming on both sides, right? So the other piece of information is, so I'm 39 years old at diagnosis. I started reporting symptoms when I was 33. So that's an important milestone for our children, because at the point in which you are experiencing this for your children, they should be seen 10 years before that time. So our
oh,
kids at a minimum of age 23 will start colonoscopies.
wow.
They are already high risk, so they're not eligible for blood-based or stool-based tests. It will be considered preventative, meaning insurance is required to cover it at 100%, right?
Okay.
Like a well visit.
Yeah.
And they're now going to set their cadence in which they need to be followed up and screened. That's the important information. So if you are a parent, you're 50 years old when you got your first colonoscopy and there were polyps detected in it, that's important information for your kids, because now their screening age for full coverage insurance is 40 years old, because you go back 10 years at a minimum.
Okay.
It's either 40 years old if you have a history, or 10 years from the date of onset. Okay. So
So
that's
it's
when
40
my kids are going to
years.
hit 23. But if you,
Right.
for example,
Right.
got your first, you don't have any other family history, you didn't have symptoms, you went in for your routine colonoscopy, age 50, you did the right thing, happy birthday, you have polyps detected, your kids need to know, and they should be getting screened at age 40.
Okay.
Period.
Now,
And they're
Right.
going to have to advocate. You're going to have to tell your kids, you have to advocate for yourself. And here's a hot tip to use in that setting. They go into their doctor, or you go into your doctor, and your doctor says, oh, you don't need to do anything. Standard of care is not until 45. They say, but my mom or my dad, they had polyps. And I know that I need to be seen at age 40 because of that. And they still get brushed off, for example. No, that's if you're hyperreactive, if you're anxious, you could do something, but people don't need to have that done at that time, right? It's getting put back on the patient that this is your problem rather than the system supporting your care. My encouragement is to say, I want you to note in my medical file that I've requested having a colonoscopy because of my family history, and that this is considered preventative, and that you are declining care. And you better believe you're going to see some action.
All right. That's good to know. Wow.
It has not failed yet. I do not have one instance of anyone coming back that has said that where they did not get the intervention. But yes, it unfortunately takes extra work. And I should say, these are not all physicians.
Yeah.
These, like, you go to your primary care physician, any primary care physician can write a referral for a colonoscopy. You could even do it over telehealth if you wanted to. But you have to have a referral for a colonoscopy to get scheduled.
Oh.
And some people will say you have to go to a gastroenterologist or this or that. But any physician can write a referral for a colonoscopy. Any primary care physician, any internist, any gastroenterologist, any OBGYN, anyone can write the referral for a colonoscopy.
Okay.
So don't let the system stall you out or add extra steps.
All right. But that's the one that comes down through your parents and the age and going back 10 years.
That's right.
Is that case one?
And that's even to say, let's say you're a parent and you got your first colonoscopy. You were a little bit lax about it. You got it when you turned 60 and you had a polyp detected then. That does not mean that your child gets screened at age 50. It automatically drops them to 40 years old to have intervention. Because if a family member, either a direct sibling or a direct parent, has had colorectal polyps detected, ideally and removed, the screening age drops to 40 as prevention and covered by insurance.
Okay. Now, you had said something.
Isn't this crazy? Did you think you were going to have a math lesson here with me
No,
today?
this is good.
Like, it's wild.
This is good. But what you said, and we need to go to the commercial, but I just have to ask this.
Sure.
I don't remember ever getting biopsy results.
Right.
That's something, I don't know if I missed it. I mean, you're definitely woozy when you come out, but
They won't have it when you come out because they have to send it to the lab.
So you get a letter?
So it adds an extra step. You should get a letter.
Okay.
You should get a letter. It doesn't happen regularly in my experience with this. If you're on like a electronic medical record system, like a MyChart,
yeah,
there would be notes in there after your colonoscopy, and you have to go in and look for it. You can also send a message saying, I'd like to understand the biopsy results from my colonoscopies historically.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't think people know this at all.
They don't. No, not
two things they don't know. One is that polyps are hereditary and people need to know. The second is that we need to get our biopsy results if we've had them. Yes. So I'm writing this down again so I did not forget. All right, let's go to our commercial break.
Sounds good.
What were you just going to say? Let me take a note so we don't forget.
I was going to say polyps aren't necessarily hereditary, but what polyps do is they inform for our future generations, right? So right now, because I don't have genetic predispositioning saying that I have a marker that for sure this came from my family, it's just a clue. And it's a clue that our medical system globally takes seriously, that if a parent has a polyp, they're going to check the child earlier.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's it.
That's
And
what it
it's
means.
like the
Check the child
symptoms, it's like
earlier.
other things. These are clues
Okay.
that
Cool.
allow us to be seen sooner. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
What if school could be a place where every child feels safe to be themselves? Right now, kids are growing up in a complicated world. They're learning how to listen, how to care, and how to find their voice. Kokori's daily digital calendar of research-backed lessons helps children build confidence, empathy, and resilience through joyful play-based learning. When children feel connected and supported, they don't just learn more, they grow into kinder, braver humans. Kokori, helping kids grow together.
Hey, it's Hilary from the Getting Real with Hilary show. Life can be messy, raw, and real. And sometimes we're afraid to feel vulnerable. We're afraid to be that real self. Well, that's exactly what the Getting Real with Hilary show and Getting Real movement is all about. Being our true selves. Every week, I bring you stories of transformation, authenticity, and hope. People getting real with their struggles, their faith, and their breakthroughs. So don't miss a thing. Subscribe to my weekly newsletter today. You'll get stories, links to everything new, and how to create a life you love every week directly to your inbox. You can also find my books on Amazon. My courageous and riveting memoir, The Second Piece of French Toast, in case you feel stuck in your life and want to get inspired. How I came out about my no sex life in my marriage, and my second book, Real Talk. That one will get you speaking up in ways you've been too afraid to do so, and really creating amazing freedom. And my third book, How to Stop Fixing Yourself and Start Having Fun, the name is called Your Bullshit is Your Blessing. Find links to everything and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Getting Real with Hilary, and you'll find the links in the header. So, visit. And you can also visit gettingrealwithhilary.com because the real you is worth it and wants to come out. What if spiritual transformation didn't have to feel confusing or out of reach? When I met Dr. Kay Narayan, a spiritual teacher and healer, what struck me most wasn't just his presence. It was how simple he made something that can feel so complex. In his book, Spiritual Transformation, 12 Steps to Freedom, Joy, and Your Highest Life, he breaks it down into a clear, step-by-step process. So you're not just inspired, you actually know what to do. This isn't about rare experiences or abstract ideas. It's practical, it's logical, and it's written in a way that just makes sense. And what I experienced myself was a feeling of lightness, of ease, of finally understanding. If you've been searching for something deeper, but want it to feel real and accessible, this is for you. You can get a free copy of his book right now. Just cover shipping and handling. The link is below, because the life you're looking for might be simpler than you think. Have you tried diet after diet and workout after workout, only to be frustrated by the lack of results? What if you had a coach who created a plan specifically for your body, your goals, and your lifestyle? Meet Kayvon Bu of Hammer Fitness. Kayvon helps people lose body fat, build lean muscle, and transform their bodies through personalized fitness coaching, customized nutrition plans, and ongoing adjustments as their bodies change and adapt. The results speak for themselves. Just look at these incredible client transformations. If you're ready to stop guessing and start seeing results, contact Kayvon Bu today on Instagram at kayvon.bu or by phone at 437-774-5688. Your transformation starts with one decision. Make it today. And thank you, as always, to our sponsors. Thank you. You saw their commercials and you saw their names going under Marissa and I mean, their logos going under Marissa and I. Thank you for making this show possible. We appreciate your generosity. And now back to this very, very, very important message from Marisa Peters. And we also had, here, I'll bring her back, but we also had Paul Weigel on with his book, Iron Dad, a little while ago, who also was ignored. His symptoms were ignored and had a very bad case. But meanwhile, he's been doing Iron Men since then. He did survive. He survived for his little daughter. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. If you haven't seen that interview, go check that out. And I don't know if you guys connected. Did you guys ever connect?
We did.
You
Thanks
did.
to your linking us up. We got to meet at one of these big gatherings of colorectal cancer survivors and advocates. And so, yes, thank you for linking Paul and I up.
Yeah, he's great.
He's
right?
fierce and relentless, and we need more people like that are out there
Yeah.
on the front lines using their story to spark action in the lives of others.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thank you. So, okay. So we've got the symptoms. If you're experiencing symptoms when you're younger, you can do the Cologuard or the blood, right? And that will point you to the colonoscopy. We've
That's
got
right.
if your parents have had polyps, you go back 10 years, but you can go all the way back to 40 if they got detected later.
That's correct.
And people now, why do they need to, okay, I already forgot. Why do they need to get their biopsy results? What does that point you to?
Yeah, so your biopsy results are really important. So I share my husband's story, and I'm not talking outside of our family walls here. He has shared his story very openly, as have I here. But the week that my husband turned 45, we had his colonoscopy scheduled for as soon as he could possibly be seen.
And that
So-
was because of insurance that you had to wait.
That's correct. Yeah, we had to wait. And because the screening age was lowered from age 50 down to 45 a few years ago, I believe to my core we're going to see the screening age lowered because of the extremely concerning rise year over year, not just of detection, but of mortality rates of people that are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that are losing their life to this disease. So in Josh's case, he went in, had his colonoscopy. He had 6 polyps detected, and 3 of those were confirmed precancerous polyps. So not all polyps are on the path to becoming cancer, right? But in Josh's case, 3 of them were. I also had my follow-up colonoscopy last fall, in which I had precancerous polyps again. So, it's out of my body. It's not there anymore. Now, 3 years before, I had a colonoscopy after my treatment had wrapped up, and I didn't have anything in my colon or rectum at that time. There were no polyps. There were no signs or indications of anything at that point. But 3 years later, here were the polyps. My sister, similarly, has had 2 colonoscopies. She was 36 when I was diagnosed. She and my brother went in promptly. My sister had confirmed precancerous polyps detected and removed. She is the first person that, from my experience, that in her words, she said, "You saved my life, Marissa." Like, I would have not ever gone in and gotten seen. It would have been 9 years before I was eligible for standard routine screening. She didn't have any symptoms, didn't have anything. We haven't lost any family members to this disease to date, from our grandparents, aunts, uncles, our parents' aunts and uncles. But here it is. And
what about your brother? Did he have any?
Yeah, he's 6 years younger than I am. He did not.
Oh, he didn't.
He did not. My sister did. And then she also had her 3-year follow-up, and she had more precancerous polyps as well. So even though, as I share, like, we do not have genetic predispositioning for this disease, I fundamentally, maybe I'm wrong, but I think with more innovation in this space, I think we're going to find some linkage or certainly some similar exposure that we had as a family. Both of my parents have had precancerous polyps detected and removed in their colonoscopies as well. So,
Was
they say
that
the apple
after
doesn't fall
you?
far from the tree.
Yeah. Was that after you went through your thing, or had they already found them and just you didn't know?
It's before and after.
Mm.
Yeah. And we just didn't know. And in fact, even after, with all the work in this space, my parents as well didn't realize that precancerous polyps are worth communicating to kids, that they are, um, they're important to talk about. And so that's part of why all of us speak out and share so much
Yeah.
about our lived family experience, because we want other people to know this. This knowledge is power. But when, like you said, when you're at the table and you say anything about the bathroom or poop or toilet habits or anything like that, people turn the volume off really quickly. So we're here to say, like, turn the volume up. This is something that certainly at the right time and place, like your kids, their cousins, your siblings, they should know about this, and they should at least, have the choice to take these steps at the appropriate time in their lives.
Now, you 3 years later had more, your sister
Yes.
3 years later had more. Is that can people, do they know to get the colonoscopy so soon if they've had the precancerous? Because I don't think I think I
Yeah.
had to wait 5 years. I think because I
So
had
then
the
you
poly
probably
Yeah.
had precancerous polyps. So typically,
You
if you
mean
have
instead of
precancerous
10?
polyps, yeah, if you've had precancerous polyps, um, again, I am not a medical professional. This is from our lived experience and how
Yes.
we work through. But my advice to my friends and family and people that I'm close with is, like, if you've already found something precancerous in there, I don't really want to give it more time to show up again and then grow to something that's going to be more harmful to my life, or potentially something that's irrevocable for my life.
So would you say 3 or 5?
The max I would go is for me is 3. My husband's going back in 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check my files, actually. I'm gonna go back and check
Yeah.
my files. Yeah.
Look, it's worth it. And people get concerned about the prep. On our site at bscene.care, we have resources around how to make your prep better. And because I've done so many, we've really figured out how to make it like a big nothing burger.
You know what I did? I have to pass this on. My daughter went to get me pho. You know what pho is?
Yeah, it's so good.
Delicious. It's this delicious broth from is it Vietnamese? I don't know. I should know, but it's either Vietnamese or something. And it's so good. And I drank that. I was not hungry at all. It was clear. And it was a beautiful day. Like I wasn't uncomfortable at all. I mean, it was delicious. Like I would have it on a regular basis. And it was clear. It was perfectly good. There were, so that's what I pho. I think what is it?
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Like chicken broth, people like adding some bouillon, to it, having something warm that you would have at kind of a mealtime or dinner time, having Italian ice, yellow, lemon, great. We suggest gum. Don't swallow it. Did that on my first colonoscopy. It does not stay in your stomach for 7 years, FYI. But
wait, why gum? Why gum?
Because you can chew gum and it gives you that feeling that you're eating. Also, gummy bears are a good option. You just need to pick the colors that are orange, yellow, clear, white.
Really?
Don't do the greens and the reds or those colors. Just weed those out. But you can do that. And again, it gives you that feeling that you're eating. And there's a number of other things to help make your prep as successful as possible. We're not here to go deep on the efficacy of prep, but that's another thing, making sure you prep really well to give your gastroenterologist the ability to see clearly through your entire GI tract is really, really important. And also making it more tolerable. There are over 10 different kinds of prep to do, and some are more challenging than
Yeah.
others. I started on one of the toughest, which is soup prep, and I don't want other people to have to go through that either.
What was it? What's it called?
It's called soup prep, and
How do you spell that?
SUPREP.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
and
was it?
it's
Do
a
we know?
mixed berry flavor, and for me, it was not easy to get down and keep down. Let's say,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
not what you want that experience to be. But there's
Okay. So no
some
super.
better ways.
Yeah.
But that's another thing people don't know to say, hey, like, let's talk about the different kinds of prep.
Yeah.
There's not just one. And you, again, can advocate for there's a version now where you can take Dulcolax pills, and then you have to drink a lot of fluid, but you're not actually drinking as much of the solution. And the flavor and taste of that, you get to choose what you want to actually flush through. Or there's Miralax preps. There's another that's Go Lightly in a big jug that you can add your own, favorite flavor of Gatorade that's either clear entirely or yellow or orange. We're not going to do any big blues or things because that's on the no list. But there are ways, there are ways to make this more tolerable and, really allow you to get seen and avoid, the chemotherapy and all the radiation and surgeries. And I had a bag for 4 months, and it's not a fun disease to treat. I also lost my fertility as a result of it. I was instantly in menopause. There are a range of things that impact your sexual function, your relationships, your ability to go out publicly and know that you can count on your body to work beyond the time. So again, this is why we want people to go and be seen much earlier.
Now, when they finally diagnosed you, were you like, what stage were you?
I was stage 3, stage 3B. Yeah. So it had not yet spread to other organs outside of my rectum. Very fortunate for the amount of time that we lost. But it was sizable. It was sizable, and it did not hit my lymphatic system, and was contained in my rectum. But because of the size, it was 11 months worth of treatment that still leaves me with a different quality of life now as a result, that we've, thankfully figured out how to manage. But it's
did
not
you already have
it's
kids?
just nothing.
Did you already have
I did.
Kids? You did.
Yeah, we already had our 3 boys.
Okay.
Which also prompted some assumptions from doctors that we were done having kids. So I was already into chemo before I knew that we would no longer be able to have children. Which was, when those kinds of decisions get taken from you, it's hard. Adds other layers to it. Yeah. I know. Not fun.
Oh, gosh.
This is why I'm obsessed with colonoscopies, though, because it's the simple answer for this. And look, we want people to take their skin health seriously, their annual visits seriously, to go and check and really pay attention to the data that you're getting back from your annual blood, panels that are conducted, mammography, prostate checks. Like, take these checks seriously. Yes, it's not fun to go and have your boobs smashed or to have your body checked in these areas that are private parts, right? But it's really, really important for us to be able to live our lives as long and as healthy as we possibly can. And that's why knowing your body and giving voice to it and being relentless is really, really the core message of Be Seen.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like every night when I go to floss my teeth and I don't want to, I say, but how much time is it going to take if you lose a tooth and you have to get that replaced? Do you know what I mean? This is a couple of minutes Like these
Totally.
tests might be, an hour or something inconvenient, but what you went through was 11 months and got your decisions robbed from you about some things that are very important,
They are.
So
They are.
if you're thinking you don't want to do this, just remember it's a small amount of time for prevention versus dealing with what you'll deal with later. Wow.
That's right. That's right. And look, there are many things that we don't yet know how to prevent and detect, right? There's a rise of lung cancer for non-smoking populations. There are other things that we don't yet have both the detection and the prevention available to us yet. With this, we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Oh. All right.
Our
and
pups are starting to go nuts at home. I hope that people can't hear that here, but hey, we all live at home. We all have animals around. My dogs are starting to chirp up.
Okay. All right. Well, we're almost done. We have just a couple minutes. I know you've been giving your message the whole time, but
that's okay.
What would you like to leave people with? If you had your way in 5 years, your vision, or just whatever you want to tell people in closing.
Yeah. I mean, look, we started the Be Seen movement to encourage people to advocate for themselves. Our mission is that we eradicate death by people going unseen in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, right? I think this actually applies to people of all ages as well, but this is just our target for our organization and our movement. We want people to take that pledge to say, I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to understand my risk, and I'm going to take action toward screening and prevention. That's our biggest. And if you have a friend that needs to hear that message and they confide in you, we ask that you support them and that you follow up and you don't shy away from these tough conversations. That's the biggest. And, we want people to be seen for their symptoms, for their story, and for their screening. And we shouldn't shy away from these things that might scare us a little bit or make our hearts race a little bit faster. That's just our body's indication that we're really on something that matters. So pay attention to those signs and symptoms and signals, because truly they matter. And we want people to know that you matter, and don't let anybody dismiss you or tell you otherwise. And we want people to go and be seen.
Yeah.
Live wonderful lives.
Yeah, thank you. And if you hear someone talking about that they have one of these symptoms, you give them the message as well. Maybe they didn't hear this, but you did, and that could be why you heard it. So tell them what their options are, and go to beseen.care if you forget the symptoms or forget anything. Okay. Thank you so much, Marisa, for the work you're doing, you and your husband, and
my pleasure.
Let's save more lives.
That's right. That's right. We want to know if this moved you in some sort of way. Please come and share your story with us. That is the fuel in our tank to keep doing what we're doing. It would mean a lot to hear. So Thank you, Hilary, for all your work and for connecting me with Paul, and for your support of this taboo topic that, thanks to people like you and this audience listening in, we're moving it a little bit further out of that silenced category.
Great. Thank you.
Of course.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this episode. I started getting real with Hilary when I discovered that I was a people-pleasing, pleasant phony and wanted to be more of my real self. We can grow together if you will like the show, subscribe to my channel, and share this episode with your friends and family so that we can have a world that's more real.